So some companies, when they launch, like Onecoin, they've got trading restrictions in place to prevent volatility. Well, why do they do that? Well, number one, it's not to keep your money. It's to keep the price from fluctuating, because volatility is one of the 5 things that scares people away from digital currency. So the people at Onecoin have kind of cracked the code on that. They just say, okay, you can liquidate a certain amount of your account per day, and it might take you 150 days to liquidate your account if you wanted to, but you could. But what that's going to do is that's going to prevent the wild price fluctuations, say like Bitcoin has. And one of the disadvantages that Bitcoin has is they have 70% of the coins controlled by 7% of the community. That's a distinct disadvantage. I mean, all of a sudden price skyrockets and it plummets again because somebody comes in and sells a huge bunch. With like Onecoin, the coins are evenly distributed across, I think, like 2 million people. Okay, so mining, like with Onecoin, you pick a package ranging from $180, where you can get the coins off the discounts about 20%. Whereas if you go with an infinity package, you get the coins at almost 80 or 90% off, actually 80%. Okay, and that's a really great deal. So when the coins hit your account, now it might take a year for the whole mining process to take place. You're going to be getting coins throughout the year, but at the end of the year, whatever you started mining those coins at, the ratio that they give you, the rate, which is locked in once you secure the package, all of a sudden you have the opportunity to cash those coins in. So let's say it takes me a year to mine coins today at a 60 mining ratio. Okay, that means 60 tokens for every coin that I want. So if I have 60,000 tokens, that means I'm going to get 1,000 coins. Well, by the time I mine those coins, those 1,000 coins, 6 months may have gone by, and the price of the coin may have gone from, say, $6 to $10. Well, my investment of, say, $3,000 is now worth $10,000 6 months later. Okay, so when you think about digital currency and why you want to mine coins, now if you're risk adverse, like if you say, man, I don't want to take on any risk, I hate risk, blah blah blah, my palms sweat if I make more than 5% a year. Digital currency is probably not for you, and neither is mining, because that's where the greatest risk is when we first launch a digital currency and we're bringing the currency into circulation. It's kind of like when you launch a tech start company, you give out stock to people to help you get it off the ground and open up doors for you so you can become the next Amazon. So a lot of stock is given away, and people have the ability to cash in when they do an IPO, or what they call an initial public offering. So mining is very, very important, folks. It's a very important function of the business. If a company can create a river, as I say, meaning like PayPal, they could create a river. They got 180 million users. Onecoin has 2 million users. They've created a river. Bitcoin has created a river. Ethereum is creating a river because they have this, this guru at the top of their company, and Microsoft has selected them as their partner and stuff. Any company, so Microsoft could help Ethereum create a river. So you got to be able to create a river first. And that's where the hard part is, because everybody's going to be criticizing you, telling you it's a Ponzi scheme and that they're just taking your money and there's no way you can spend it. Well, Bitcoin started that way, and so did PayPal. So I don't understand what the critics' issue is that in the beginning, there's not a lot of liquidity. These bloggers that criticize companies, these are the ones that have never invested in an IPO or a tech startup. They don't understand that there's restrictions on the stock. When you get it, you don't have liquidity. Okay, and we don't have a lot of liquidity with Onecoin. Ethereum, we have liquidity. Of course, Bitcoin, we have tons of liquidity because it's 7 years old and it's mature. So I think the mistake that people make is they try and compare Bitcoin to Onecoin. They're 6 years apart in age. I don't know how you can do that. Half a decade. It's amazing. So I look at where Onecoin is, and it's so much farther ahead than where Bitcoin was during its first 18 months. There was like no liquidity with Bitcoin in 18 months. I mean, you had to send your money, your coins to China and Japan and some exchange way far off in some Netherland to be able to actually liquidate your account. You were lucky if you got your money. So I look at what Onecoin is doing, and they've cracked the code. They're creating a river. The second thing you have to do is you have to create a trading mechanism where people can actually trade, buy and sell the coin. Well, of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Onecoin, they all have that. You can buy and sell the coin on the exchange. Now, with Onecoin, it's a little bit limited because the company's only 18 months old. Okay, so common sense would tell you that there have to be restrictions put in place to number one, test systems and prevent wild swings and volatility and craziness. Okay, that's what scares the average person away from digital currency. And then really the third element is the e-commerce aspect. I call that creating a river. Okay, so creating the trading platforms like creating the dam. Okay, where you can regulate the river a little bit. So if you use analogies, the river is the community, the dam is really the trading restrictions and the exchange that limits the activity to keep it from being too volatile. And then of course you have the tributaries, which are the rivers that feed the streams that feed the river. Okay, and those are your e-commerce channels. The minute people can start spending it and it can start flowing through an ecosystem, then you have something really, really amazing. And I'll go over that in another video, but I call that the development of a cryptocurrency. And the critics that are out there, the bloggers that are out there, they don't understand that because they can't create a river themselves. They don't know how to. And when somebody cracks the code, of course, it's a scam. You know, when somebody actually grows a giant company very quickly and breaks all sales records in the world, it's all of a sudden a scam. Well, I look at what Onecoin's doing, what Bitcoin's doing, what Ethereum's doing. I'm really excited about the new currency industry, and the bloggers that are sitting back criticizing it, they are the ones losing out. They're the ones that aren't going to make the money. They're the ones that aren't going to create the wealth. I guess they'll get their fame, and that's what they're after, but they'll never get the wealth that they're looking for. This industry is the next big industry. There was the semiconductor, there was the internet, and now there's the blockchain, the technology that fuels new currency, and it is the next big things, folks. It's a multi-trillion-dollar disruption, and it will reshape the landscape of business. I hope you've enjoyed this video.